This was incredibly dramatic, Andrea. It was historic as well.
Historic, timely, and brave.
But also the savior of Europe as a whole.
It's historic. It's the first time that a U.S. president has gone into an active war zone.
That his staff has been hiding it from the American people and making key decisions on behalf of our government.
Today, I came to party.
One of the most shocking things about now the Democrats admitting that Biden has been sleepwalking for 4 years, not in control, not running our government. We haven't had a president. I mean, literally, he's not making the decisions. That the cover-up is so huge, but couldn't be done without the media. That's why we're so hard on the media. And, you know, a lot of times the media is the only way that we hear news, is it's filtered through them and they're to project it to us, what's happening at that White House. And that's why you guys have subscribed to us, because now we're going to give you our opinion of what happens at the White House. But here's the difference. I'm not going to tell you my opinion's the only one that's true. Everything that disagrees with me is disinformation. I'd never do that to you. I don't say that. Instead, in fact, I welcome disagreement. You guys tell me what you think too. We're all trying to figure this out. Welcome to Doug in Exile, as we call out the left's imbecilic lies they've been telling you for 4 years. Watch this.
Joe Biden has put solidarity ahead of his own personal safety.
Air raid sirens and no real guarantee of security.
As air raid sirens blared.
This was incredibly dramatic, Andrea. It was historic as well.
Historic, timely, and brave.
Joe Biden went to the Ukraine and it was awesome and heroic, other than it was a complete lie and a setup. It was a puppet show. This makes me angry. But anyways, here's Mays over on X. Biden's 2023 choreographed visit to Ukraine was a great example of the mainstream media and Biden's handlers working together to prop up an unfit Biden. This trip was cleared with Russia ahead of time, zero danger. Air raid sirens went off for no reason. What a show. Let's watch this next clip and then I'll put it together for you. But this is the media propping up Biden, trying to make him look heroic when he was no such thing. He was barely even present.
First American president to go to a war zone with no U.S. military presence for security on the ground.
American presidents have made dramatic trips before, Nixon to China, Kennedy, Reagan to the Berlin Wall, and presidents have visited U.S. troops in war zones, but never like this.
To find a day of this kind of presidential bravery in a war zone, you've got to go all the way back to 1864.
With Biden's trip to Europe, he is welcomed as not only frankly the savior of Ukraine.
Biden's entire trip to Ukraine has stolen valor. It makes him look like he did something equivalent to a real president going to a real dangerous war zone. He went over there. The media just told us about how heroic and rare and he's a savior to them. And he stumbled around, didn't know where he was. And it was all a giant puppet show for fundraising.
But also the savior of Europe as a whole.
It's historic. It's the first time that a U.S. president has gone into an active war zone that the U.S. military does not have control over.
And against all odds, it was successful.
The continuing threat quite literally sounding all around the two leaders.
The skies here are not safe. And in fact, an air raid siren went off while President Biden was here.
Seeing the American president there, walking the streets of Kyiv while air raid sirens literally sounded in that moment about possible incoming fire from Russia.
They went on and on for days about the air raid sirens and how Biden walked around. He didn't even, duck and wasn't scared when the air sirens went off. Well, that's because our government told Russia that Biden would be visiting Ukraine. In other words, it would be an act of war. If they fired on Ukraine and it took out the president, Russia would be gone. So we warned them, but we didn't tell you. These media people didn't tell you that Russia knew that Biden was going to Ukraine, so they wouldn't fire on him. Well, so of course, Ukraine knows that Russia is not going to fire on him. Therefore, when they ran the air sirens, right? The sirens that you'll hear in the background of a lot of these clips. Biden, everyone knew that they were fake air sirens because there was no air raid. There was no bombing coming. They ran the sirens as a show to make Biden look more heroic, like wasn't under fire, but under the threat of fire, under those air raid sirens. Biden still walked around bravely. He knew the air raid sirens were fake. That's a disgusting lie. Again, stolen valor. Everything about Joe Biden was a fake puppet show in collusion with the lying media to try and get us to think something, like to get us to think he was in charge. You can't even hate Biden. He didn't even do anything the last 4 years. It wasn't him.
The wail of an air raid siren.
Air raid sirens wailing in the background.
Seemingly undeterred by an air raid siren.
Undeterred by the sound of air sirens.
Undeterred by the sound of air sirens because he knew they were all put on, just to put on. Well, here are the air raid sirens. What a terrible 4-year spell we've been put under by the left. It's disgusting to me. And the backlash against Democrats is real. And the backlash against media is significant. They're losing power now. Joy Reid just took a giant salary cut. Same with Stephanie Ruhle over at MSNBC. You're going to see all of them losing money, losing viewers, and losing credibility.
There are big fancy college words called oligarchy, plutocracy, that folks tonight might want to look up. It's called rule by rich folks. And that's what we're dealing with, a bunch of rich folks, two rich people threw a fit online and threw the government upside down. That is not good for America. Now, did the bill go from big to little? What happened is that the bipartisan deal that got struck by elected officials of our country were overthrown by two billionaires throwing a fit. And it's not even January.
Oh, Van Jones, he's a journalist again, asking tough questions because Trump walked in the room. He's sitting there saying Trump and Elon Musk are these rich, billionaires controlling he and Vivek Ramaswamy are controlling things. And Vivek and Elon Musk aren't even elected members of Congress. Well, the thing is, the Americans, this is Scott Jennings' point, America voted for Joe Biden. And he did not make a decision in the last 4 years. It was all a puppet show. Someone else was running the country, unelected people, probably billionaires. And Van Jones, as a journalist, did not care, did not call them out because he's not serious now. Don't take his questions about Elon Musk and Trump seriously. We can just laugh.
Scott, what's your take on that?
Well, if Van is concerned about unelected officials running the government, I would invite him to review the last 4 years of the Biden administration and maybe pick up the Wall Street Journal this week. We've apparently had a president that's so diminished that his staff has been hiding it from the American people and making key decisions on behalf of our government, despite never having been elected to anything at all. So if you're concerned about it tonight, maybe take a look over the last 4 years.
Oh, Scott Jennings, he's not concerned about it tonight. It was just politics. Same reason why he wasn't concerned about it the last 4 years. People, in general, the left does not care about the truth. Their ends justify the means. They only care about those ends. And then they'll reverse engineer and they'll tell you what they believe and change it all the time. That's why they have a two-tiered justice system. Just remember, these same media people, full-time, made up all this garbage about Biden going to Ukraine.
President Biden's ability with his aviators on to walk through in broad daylight in Kyiv.
The swagger of this trip.
Oh, he was wearing his aviator glasses and he was swaggering. What a Muppet show. What a coward. This whole party and all of the media that lied to you, instead of asking tough questions, they could have flushed all this out. They had no interest. These are, while I'm upset about their incredible lies, I am happy that we've turned a corner. At least they're not gaining in credibility. At least they've been wrecked upon the rocks. Their foundation was so flimsy that the left's house crashed hard. What else do you believe the government and the media are lying about? I'm Doug in exile.